So we will start off our meeting today in John Adams Academy fashion. So if you would like to rise for the pledge, that would be great. Remember to always tilt my screen when I rise so that it's like, oh, just not my stomach being shown. Okay, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Well, we're going to start off tonight by kind of going over our agenda of what we're going to cover this evening. So we're going to do some introductions of some admin and some teachers. So you get to meet them. We're going to show you a little bit of Canvas, which we've been working really hard, and our teachers and our instructional designers, that's what they've been doing all summer, is working on that, and it's exciting to see. And then we'll talk about the upcoming events we have. We'll talk a little bit about marketing. We have some secondary specific things that I would like to share, and then we'll have an opportunity for question and answers afterwards. So I just wanted to start off. I know some of the parents I know from El Dorado Hills, but I wanted to kind of tell you a little bit more about myself. And, you know, something that I love about John Adams Academy, we had just finished college, my husband and I, and we had 2 children, and my son was in preschool, and we were living back east, and we were, you know, I felt a drive, so to speak, or prompted to go back into the workforce, which was not my plan. My plan was to stay at home with my children. And so that kind of threw a wrench into things. I was planning on homeschooling, and I said, well, where are my children going to go to school? So we started looking in the area. I knew I wanted to go into education, so I started looking for programs. And I knew about John Adams Academy through the founder, Dean Foreman. I knew him and had done things through his PhD. We were at the same school. And so as I contemplated that and contemplated my children being in an environment away from me for many hours a day, where I was, there were no options that I felt comfortable with in sending my children. And so I decided to look into John Adams because I knew about it through Dean, and we decided to move to California so that my children could attend school there, and hopefully, you know, I'd be able to work there. And that all did work out. I taught at John Adams Academy and have been here for 7 years. But what I love about John Adams Academy is the vision and the mission of the school. And really, I love it for my children. And to be able to be involved in an organization where I can, you know, we put a lot of time and a lot of hours into, you know, outside of our homes and our families, and to do it with a place and with people who are really dedicated to a great cause, and are really providing something that, you know, uplifts and provides edification to, you know, others, even outside of ourselves. And, you know, especially for Cress and I, as we both have children that attend the academy. And so, you know, that's something that I love. And with my children, I just had my 5th child in May. And so 3 of them will be attending the El Dorado Hills campus. And we live up in Placerville. We just moved up here a year ago. And so we love the mountains and the mountain air. I'm really thankful for it. When I look at the temperatures, like down in El Dorado Hills and close to where we lived, I was like, oh, this is nice to be 5 degrees cooler. Literature is a passion of mine, especially classic literature, and reading. And I'm really passionate about parents being involved in the reading to their children. And that is something that was passed down to me. My father read to me, and it really set not only a kind of a path for our relationship, but also just a trajectory of my life and how I view the world, and that classical education I was able to receive. And so it's my favorite thing to do with my children. They know now that I work at home on my lunch break, I go out, I'm eating, and what do? Pick up a book and start reading. And so I love to be able to share that with parents too through John Adams Academy. Um, as I say, I don't have time for hobbies because I'm a parent and I work full time. But I do love nature. I love being outside. We've planted a little garden, and being up here with 2 acres is a dream of ours. And so I love to, hike and be in nature when I'm not reading for myself or reading to my kids, or, just doing all the chores involved with that. So that's a little bit about me. And I would like to introduce you to Caressa Borgia, and she is the assistant dean of our program. And she holds worked with her for the past 3 years, I believe, right, Caressa? And she taught my son last year in second grade. And so she's going to kind of tell you a little bit more about herself.
Thank you, Megan. It's so nice to be on one of these calls. And even though I can't see everyone's face, it's okay. I know you're listening. So yes, like Megan said, I am the Assistant Dean of Online Learning for this school year. And I'm really excited for this opportunity. I think it's a blessing that kind of fell into my lap. I've been with the Academy for 3 years. I taught second grade at the El Dorado Hills campus, and something that I love about John Adams Academy are the 10 core values. I feel like they're at the forefront of what the Academy stands for, something that we incorporate as teachers into our curriculum, and kind of like what drives our classroom management systems. And like Megan mentioned, my oldest is going to be going into first grade at the El Dorado Hills location, and he loves John Adams Academy. It's adorable. And even over the summer, I mean, the 10 core values are like, oh, you were just following core value number 10. And it's amazing how it gets transferred and infused into home life too. And yes, so I have two sons. My oldest is 6 going into first grade, and then my youngest is in preschool, and we live in El Dorado Hills, 5 degrees hotter than where Megan's at. When I'm not busy working, this has been a very busy summer for us trying to get this up and running. I love to bake and cook and exercise, be out in nature, go for hikes. So I am looking forward to, in addition to helping on the admin team, I'm also going to be teaching kindergarten and first grade math. So I'm really excited about that as well. Still get to teach, which my heart is in. So.
Awesome. And I forgot I was supposed to add that too. And I'll be teaching 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classic literature, of course, my favorite. So I'm super excited because teachers knew in El Dorado Hills that, any moment I had, I wanted to pop in and read to the scholars and talk to them. So I'm excited to be able to do that with the online program as well. Chris, would you like to introduce our teacher here?
Yes, so we'd love to introduce Molly Clayton. She is going to be teaching 4th and 5th grade English Language Arts, or a CKLA program, and she'll also be teaching some math as well. So here's her introduction.
Can you hear this? I don't know if I clicked. Okay, let me go back and click my button that I need to. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Now it should work.
And I'm very excited to be part of our elementary team. One of the things that I love most about John Adams Academy is our model of education, the American classical education. This is how our forefathers were taught, beginning with the trivium, and it truly, I believe, is what made them great thinkers, leaders, and servants. And it also, through that, built virtuous and wise people. And I think that this is something that our world is really craving right now. And so,
Oops.
while it's been a privilege for many to be able to attend John Adams Academy in our area, I'm especially excited about our online program because it has the potential to meet an unlimited amount of family and young scholars' need for a richer education. I I know that I personally could have benefited from this type of platform, the online platform. While I was growing up, I actually, fun fact about me, I lived in 17 cities during my first 16 years. So that's a lot for some. However, one thing that was really constant for me was my parents' influence on my education. So while I attended many brick and mortar schools that obviously did not have that model of education, my parents thought it was very important to supplement my education with, they didn't really know it at the time, but with classic literature. So by the time I was 2, I was being asked to read and analyze, Aesop's fables. So, and then it just grew from there. So there's some of my fondest memories crawling up into, my parents' lap to listen to a good book, and then having a discussion about it. Not a lecture, but a discussion. And even as a very, very young person asking, well, my parents asking me, well, what do you think that means? And just leaving it there for me to really discuss it with them. So that is the type of education that we have at our school. And I think it's very exciting that we will now be offering this online. Like I said, when I was moving around quite a bit, there was not the technology nor very many schools like this one. So I'm very excited to be a part of this online team. I hope to meet you and your scholars very soon.
And Molly taught 5th grade at our Lincoln campus last year. And so it's been really fun to get to know her. Caressa, would we like to introduce Mr. Haskins?
Yes, James Haskins is a very wise teacher. He's been teaching for many years, in the 20s, right, Megan? Like 25 something years. So he will be teaching 11th grade humanities.
Hello, my name is James Haskins, and I am thrilled to be a part of our new online learning program with John Adams Academy as a member of our humanities team. So I have been with John Adams Academy since the 2014-2015 school year. I've seen a lot of changes in our academy, and this new program is just another change for the better. I love how we keep growing and improving as we grow. Being that I've been with the academy for so long, I've seen a lot of changes, but one thing that hasn't changed is our mission and our vision, and of course, our commitment to our core values. And that's something that closely attaches me to this academy because I find that our core values align very closely with my own. Something else I love about our academy is how we honor those in service. As a former member of the United States Air Force, service is very important to me. And we don't just honor those who have military service, but those who serve in many ways: police officers, firefighters, teachers, and so many others throughout our communities that have chosen a profession or volunteerism with a heart of service. And of course, that is something that we try to instill within our academy. Some things you may want to know about me: I enjoy mountain biking, I enjoy hiking, I enjoy paddling, I enjoy swimming. So you can often find me, whether it's after work, whether it's on the weekends, with kids, with loved ones, around these great lakes and rivers and valleys in the Sierra foothills, doing all those things I just mentioned. I love being outdoors. That is where I replenish my soul, and I just have just a love of nature. It's just talk about the true, the good, and the beautiful, and it can all be found in nature. Again, my name is James Haskins, and I look forward to meeting all of you in our online learning program. Thank you.
And I've known James for a while. He's been an administrator at Roseville Secondary. And so we're excited for the experience and perspective with John Adams and the secondary program that he's going to bring. So we wanted to show you introduce a little bit of our Canvas platform. And so our wonderful tech guru, I'm going to call her, Katie, she put this video together for you to see kind of what the Canvas experience will be like for your scholars. And again, we'll be using Canvas for all the grade levels, and it will be our platform where we'll do all of our communication. All the assignments will be turned in, where all of the kind of the housing of all of the information will be.
Meet Katie Smith. Katie has 2 scholars enrolled in John Adams Academy's online program. Miriam is in 3rd grade and catching up on her reading skills after a challenging year in and out of the classroom. Constance is an 8th grader who loves history. Mrs. Smith is excited to have the opportunity to check grades, view due dates, read instructions, follow calendars, and communicate with teachers using the Canvas learning management system. In the John Adams Academy online program, parents or legal guardians can be linked to all of their children as observers in Canvas, giving them the ability to log in to their own account and view every one of their scholars' classes. With her 3rd grade class, Miriam is participating in an online Socratic discussion about the book Mr. Popper's Penguins. After her online class meeting, Miriam completes the assignment in Canvas. Later, Mrs. Smith notices in Canvas that Miriam has gotten feedback.
Hi, Miriam. And while you are definitely right on track, I wanted to send over a friendly reminder to make sure to use PQA. Remember, we talked about that. It means to put the question in the answer. Okay, so we could rephrase that and use part of the question. You could say, Mr. Popper is described as a dreamer because, and then you can put why you think. Okay, great job, Miriam. Keep up the good work. I know you can do it.
From the Canvas app on her smartphone, Mrs. Smith notices that Constance has a big due date coming up in humanities. With the help of the Canvas platform, Mrs. Smith is truly able to encourage, inspire, and support her scholars in their learning through John Adams Academy online.
So we have been formatting and putting in content since June into Canvas. And so we are making some great progress, and I think it's going to really streamline just the communication and the overall experience for online. So we're really excited for you to experience that on August 9th, first day of school. Okay, Caressa is going to talk to us a little bit about some of the upcoming events that we have, just to put that reminder so we don't forget. Go ahead, Caressa.
Thank you. I know I recognize a few of the names here on the call today that I've talked to today even, or just this past week or last week. And with many of the calls that I have been making, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of our first in-person meet and greet this upcoming Friday, July 16th. We're excited. We're planning just a fun little get together. 10:30 to 12 is when it is scheduled, and it will be at Promontory Park in El Dorado Hills. And on August 5th is the next big date to mark your calendar with. This is going to be an event where everyone's going to be coming together within the online program, and we will be meeting at the Roseville campus. This is going to be the day for scholars to meet their teacher officially, get to build some class community with their online program class, as well as to pick up any tech equipment. So every online program scholar will has their own tech equipment that will be loaned out to them, and as well as their curriculum, and any textbooks, workbooks will be passed out on that day as well. We are planning that event from 9 a.m. to noon. So just if you can mark your calendars for that. The day after, if you have been looking at the online program year camp calendar, you will see August 5th and 6th are blocked off. The August 5th day is the big one. The 6th is Friday, the next day. And we are just simply planning to do a virtual teacher office hours from 9 to 12 on Zoom. We're not expecting you to, or your scholar to be on Zoom for those 3 hours. It'll just be a very informal, can we just make sure that you can get logged on to Zoom? You are all set in Canvas. You can access everything you need to before the first day of school on Monday, August 9th. And Megan, if I missed anything, go ahead and cover it. And I know you wanted to talk about immunizations.
Yes. Just to note that the 5th will be at the Roseville campus. We will provide, when it gets closer, we'll provide a map. We'll kind of tell you where to start, because if you've never been there, where you can park, you know, those types of things. And then did want to say that on the 16th, we have a lot of information for you, a lot of things printed out, detailed secondary schedules and things like that. We'll also do some meeting and chatting with parents and scholars that were within grade levels. So maybe you can meet some people who are doing the online program with you, maybe exchange some phone numbers or emails if you want to set up some play dates. There's been a lot of questions regarding immunizations. We know that the law, you know, has changed recently in the state of California. And so, you know, all scholars and families, because the 16th is, you know, an informal event at a public park, everyone is welcome, you know, to attend that. And there's not going to be a lot of, you know, direct instructions, giving more kind of free flowing. And then, but for the 5th and for any other on-site campus time, if scholars are not immunized, they will not be able to participate in that. So for the August 5th, what we're going to do is we will have in the afternoon, you'll be able to come in, we'll block off a window of time, can come in, get the tech, get all the materials that you will need. We'll make sure scholars can log on to their Chromebooks, right? Make sure their usernames and passwords work. And then on the 6th, you'll have the opportunity to participate in the virtual teacher office hours. And then I will do the administration is speaking to the parents at the online orientation day on the 5th. And so we will do a Zoom version of that for the parents as well. Okay, so just wanted to say a few words about eliciting your help and kind of spreading the word for the online program. We have seats available in every grade level. And we want to be able to make sure that, you know, as many people as possible are aware of this opportunity, as it might be the right fit for them and their scholar. And so we appreciate if anyone has, you know, sharing information on, you know, social media. I know that John Adams Academy Facebook page has a lot of things that you could reshare on that. But also, you know, if you're interested, if you would be willing to invite a few friends to, you know, a Zoom meeting with Caressa or I or Dr. Meeks, where we can kind of talk to them and tell them a little about the program and answer their questions, we'd be more than happy to do that. If you would be willing to kind of, you know, facilitate that, as in, you know, ask the people, we would do all the details of getting the Zoom set up and all of that, but kind of, you know, asking to see if anyone would be interested, that would be very helpful. And also we'll be sending out some information if you're willing to do a testimonial, if you've attended John Adams Academy, you know, before or in the past, or if you would be willing to kind of say, you know, why you've chosen the program and things like that, that would help us. So now I want to talk about some secondary specific things for a moment. I wanted to talk specifically about sports. We've updated our web page. And so did my screen change? Okay, so hang on one second. I'm gonna, how about now? Okay. All right. So on our online, this is on our online page, we added an athletics tab. And you will see that high school athletics, we have an intercollegiate agreement, and they all are going to be together for all the campuses. And so if you click on that, you'll be taken to the Roseville page, and you will hit high school sports right here. And it shows you which sports will be available. The ones that start first, you can see our cross country and girls volleyball and boys soccer. It also has, they're updating this as they do it, but they also have the coach on there, how much the donation is for your scholars to play. And so we are going to ensure that you're given communication as to when tryouts will be and things like that, okay? And then for middle school, for middle school, those will be site specific. And so they'll be, you know, through each campus. So again, for Roseville online campus, for middle school scholars, you'll come to this page and you'll just click middle school sports. And again, it has what will be started, and it's a little different than high school. So cross country will start first. And you'll notice that cross country is available starting in 4th grade. And so for elementary, scholars who might be interested in doing that, they would be able to participate if fully vaccinated. And then girls basketball, and I think they're still looking for coaches. So if that's something you'd like to do, co-ed flag football, which starts in September. And then I was going to show you Lincoln. They have the same sports, but obviously different coaches. So cross country, basketball for middle school this year. And then if they have any updates, they'll update this page. So this is a great place to go. So if there's some changes, they'll update the website, and so we can all be informed. And then El Dorado Hills has not yet updated their website. They still have a COVID message on it, but you would go here to middle school sports, and then they would have it listed here as well. And so admin return next week, and so they should be able to have this updated quickly. I already sent them an email, but they couldn't get back to me in time for this meeting to be able to see those. But you have this website, you'll be able to see all of that. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about electives for middle school. So for middle school, PE is going to be all year long. There'll be one lesson per week, which is about an hour, when you have the video, the practice involved, and then the reflection. Art and music will be 2 times per week for 1 semester. So 7th grade first semester will have art 2 times a week, and then 2nd semester it will be music, and then 8th grade will be the opposite. The first semester will be music, and the 2nd semester will be art. And so that's how we'll do electives that way for middle school. And then I think I'm actually going to show you the middle school schedule right now so we don't get confused. So let me share that. Let me make it a little bit bigger. We'll also have this printed on Friday, so you can grab one to hang on the fridge. And we'll have all the ones for elementary there as well that you can grab. Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea. You have the A day. This one, oh, I thought I fixed this, but I'm not seeing it on this one. Maybe I opened up an old one. But the A day schedule and the B day schedule are similar. You know what? This is not right. Hang on. Let me go to my spreadsheet because I do know that that is correct. One moment. Don't want to share information that is incorrect. So bear with me for a moment. So I'm just checking to make sure. You know, this scheduling for secondary is quite the Tetris that is involved. So we've had multiple, okay, this is the correct one. We've had multiple additions. So I want to make sure I'm giving you correct information. Okay, this is the right one. So for 7th grade, they'll have an A day and a B day. You can see the electives like I talked about. Okay, they have their Latin. You can notice the times here. So they have 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays where they are going to go a little bit longer. This block for logic and writing is with a humanities teacher. And it just gives them a little bit additional time in those 2 subjects because they are a little bit more skill-based. And so we wanted them to have that additional time. And then 8th grade, you can see they have their A days here and then B days. And then they also have on Tuesdays and Thursdays a little bit longer. So they have that logic writing block. And then as we talked about in our last meeting, there's office hours that will be available. Teachers will say when they will be for each course so that the scholars can say, oh, if I need to pop into math because I was struggling with homework and I didn't have math today, they can do that. Okay. All right, let me go back to my PowerPoint to talk about high school. So the electives that will be provided for high school. So provided by John Adams Academy teachers, we'll have Latin 1, Latin 2, Art 1 and Art 2, Music 1 and Music 2, and PE. And so on the 26th and 27th, Dr. Meeks and myself, we will be having, we'll send out a schedule of times that you and your scholar can sign up, and it's important for your scholar to be there. We're going to talk about their schedule. We're going to look at their path to graduation, their transcripts, so we can make sure that they're getting the right electives and they're on track to be able to graduate in the time allotted. And so when we do that, scholars will be able to choose their electives at that time, and we'll be able to say, oh, you actually have room in your schedule for 2 electives instead of 1 as they get further along in the grades in secondary. Their schedule opens up a little bit more for that. And being online, they actually have the opportunity to, because it's not all tied to a schedule, to be able to perhaps do more electives than they could in person. And so we'll talk all through that on those 2 days, and we'll send out that calendar invite. And then additional electives will be available through BYU Independent Study. They have the largest selection, and they also have the most courses from the providers that we use that are also A to G aligned, which is important for college. And so we will also have a list for them to be able to kind of see what those are with descriptions, so that they can pick those. And if they have BYU independent courses they want to do for electives, we can make sure they're signed up and ready to go on the 9th for those. And I will show you the high school schedule for high school. So they have, again, the A and B schedule, and you'll notice that there are some flex times depending on what scholars choose for that. And so for VAPA, it would be their art and music, or an elective that they might choose. Again, the languages that we're providing with John Adams Academy teachers is Latin 1 and Latin 2. So if they're doing Spanish, then they will do a vendor course for that. And so each of these is a little bit different. So here's 9th grade, and again, we'll have these all printed and then once Canvas is up and going, we'll post these in Canvas as well. And then 10th grade, we have that. They have their geometry and their chemistry. And then 11th grade, and as you can see, their schedule starts to open up with more elective times like I was talking about. And so we would look at their transcript and see how many electives do you need to graduate, and then they could kind of choose to fill those spots. And then 12th grade as well. I did want to say that PE for all of the grades, so for TK up through 12th grade, PE, if that's something that is chosen for a high school scholar, is going to be all asynchronous. So they're going to have lessons up on Canvas. They'll have a reflection they turn in, that they will receive feedback via Canvas for that, but they don't have a time when they're actually meeting on Zoom for PE. Okay, that was a lot of information. So I will open the floor for questions. You can unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can type it in the chat, whichever you feel most comfortable with. So I'll open up the chat right now. Great question about immunizations. Those are just the typical vaccination schedule that's required, and not the COVID vaccination. That's correct. They have not come out mandating the COVID vaccination first for children as of yet. If we move out of state after our school starts, will our scholars still be able to participate in online school, and for how long? So because we are a charter school in the state of California and we receive public funds, you have to be a resident of California and a resident of one of the adjoining counties. So if your residency stays, within those counties, then you can participate in the online program. But if your residency is going to actually change out of state, then you would not be able to participate in the online program because it's a California school and we receive California funds. So you would need to enroll in a school in whatever state you are doing. But again, if your residency stays in California, then they would be able to, even if you might be traveling or maybe living at times somewhere else. The schedule for elementary. So we went over the schedule for elementary in the last meeting. And so, and in a lot more detail, that was recorded, and we will be sending out that recording along with this one for that. And so you can receive that to look at that. Also, they will be printed for Friday if you want to grab those. And then, but basically for elementary, it's just asynchronous will be in the morning. There are 3 times that are an option. They may not be online for all of those times, but they do have 3 options of time slots in the morning. Before 11:45 is the latest time for the synchronous session. So sometimes they might be on for all 3 sessions. Some days they might be on for 2 sessions a day. And then their asynchronous work is flexible. And that includes their specials, so their art, music, and PE. And so those can kind of be done, within the week time frame, as well as asynchronous assignments. If teachers need things done by a certain time, they will communicate that, because they might need certain work done before a lesson is taught again to make sure the scholars had that practice. So they'll communicate that through Canvas, but it should be pretty flexible for the family to decide how they would like to do that. If they do BYU courses, will they get college credit? Yes, they will get college credit, because we have approved them as something we will, an institution we will accept credit from. Why can't students who are not immunized attend on-campus events if they have a mask? That's a great question. Because the state of California says so. And I don't mean to be trite in that answer. That just really is the answer. And so, yeah, that's just the way it is. So do scholars need to wear their uniform for the July 16th? They do not. There is a water feature, so I hope they come in their swimming suit if they like to get wet. I'm sure the middle school and high school scholars will not be interested in doing that, but they're more than welcome if they would like to. But no, casual, and it'll be warm as it is at this time. Can you explain a bit how this program is better or different than distance learning? Great question. So that is something we talked about too on the previous meeting, and we talked more in depth about that. So with distance learning, actually, Caressa, would you like to answer that question? I think you would do a wonderful job on answering that.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Can you repeat the question one more time so I can make sure I answer every part of it?
Of course. So this parent is asking, how is the online program better and or different than the distance learning program that they might have experienced?
Very good question. So coming from the teacher's perspective, remember I'm coming out of the classroom and having done distance learning, it was very abrupt and not a lot of time to prep and think thoroughly about what would be the best way to approach it. We utilized Google Classroom, and not that was bad in any way, but just different. So on the John Adams Academy online program there are so many people working on the success of this program. We are utilizing a completely different layout and way that work is being presented and how it will be turned in. So again, in distance learning, we use the Google Classroom platform, and in the online program, we are going to be using Canvas. And I'm not sure if you were taking a close look at the video on the introduction to Canvas, but it's definitely much cleaner features and just more organized. You have to log in. So just definitely different heightened experience there for you. And Megan, what else would you add to that?
I would also add that, the teachers, these are solely online teachers, and so they're not being split like Caressa experienced, which was very hard, trying to meet all the needs of in-person plus the needs online. And so these teachers, for the most part, are completely online teachers. We do have some secondary teachers who are teaching in person and online. But again, their experience, like Mr. Haskins and our 12th grade English teacher, they've been with the Academy for a long time, and they really are the best, better than hiring someone from who doesn't know, our program, especially in those higher grades when the classics are much more difficult and in depth. So I think that would be something also that is different. Also, we designed this as having experience of distance learning we really designed this more as an independent study model. And so there is more flexibility added into it than may have been experienced in distance learning. And we've also have a lot of consultants and people who do this for a living who are really guiding us and providing some really good advice and things like that, which I have found very beneficial as I meet with them every day. So that was a wonderful question. Thank you for bringing that up, Sierra. Gary has the question, with the mask rule for schools, will scholars have to wear them for on-campus events? Wonderful question. Since the actual guidelines didn't come published out until they came out on Monday, and our school nurse does not work until next week. So I'm assuming yes, but again, no, the academy hasn't dug into the language to see what exactly is being required, and our school nurse will do that, and so we'll have further direction for that. But for myself, I'm just planning on yes, we will need to wear masks when we are on campus events. Do they need the uniforms?
Megan, Julia has her question or her hand raised.
Oh,
I don't know.
yes. Hello, Julia. Go ahead and unmute, and then I'll answer the
you.
next questions in the chat. Yes, it's a pleasure to
that's
see you.
okay. I wasn't sure how to do the chat thing, so I figured I'd just
Oh,
have
no
to-
worries. I love seeing your face too.
And do the scholars need their uniforms on August 5th? Are they accompanying us to the back to school?
Yes, so we have this wonderful schedule that we'll be sharing with you, where we want them to be able to have, some quality time with their teachers and building some community and kind of kicking off the year in doing that. And so, yes, we would love them to be in uniform. If you are new to the academy and your polos don't arrive in time, then, any type of, polo that's red, white, and blue, you can grab one at Target for like $6 is fine.
Oh, we do have a polo. It's just khakis,
Okay.
and is that khakis pants? Okay, just
Yeah.
making sure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Great question. And that was actually the question that was typed that I was about to answer. So that was
Oh, perfect.
So someone's asking, Gary, you were asking about clarification on requirements for the year. What requirements are you referring to? Are you referring to like, could you clarify? Could you possibly unmute or clarify in the chat, and I'll come back to your question, what you mean by
this is Gary. Sorry, it was
Hello.
actually just a clarification on my other question, because I said, well, not new mask rule. It was
Right.
just they clarified that they would be required
right.
for in some instance for 21-22. So that was what I was curious about. And do you know if, I guess you don't know, you answered the question, like for sports and stuff like that too?
I'm not sure about sports. I did read on when I was reading through that that it said that outdoors was optional. So I'm not sure about sports, because a lot of times you have that and then you have the league requirements, and so we get them from two directions with sports. So I'm not sure about that, but our nurse will dig right in when she comes back on the 19th and will explain all of those things to us to make sure. So I haven't seen anything specifically about sports, but I did see that outdoors it was optional. So like for recess times, or if we're doing activities, outdoors.
Oh, perfect.
That should be optional. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Is there a wait list for 3rd and 6th grade at Lincoln or Roseville? If you're talking about for online, we don't have a wait list for online at all. If you're talking about for in-person, yes, every grade level at every site, in-person site has a wait list. What will be the teacher to student ratio? That's a wonderful question. We're still, our enrollment is open. But right now in elementary, actually, all of the scholars for the most part are going to experience and being taught by different teachers. And so, but as far as like per grade level, we're sitting currently right now but around 15 per grade level. But again, teachers will be teaching, multiple. So we like have a teacher teaching 3rd grade, all the subjects except one. But she's also teaching 4th grade math and things like that. But kind of the groups that might be with that grade level are about 15 or so. So what do I mean by flexibility with the online program? I think I mean that that a lot of the we've been really coherent about the synchronous time in distance learning. It was kind of, we had to meet a certain amount of minutes. We had to, report certain things. The governor did just sign a new bill that came out last week regarding our things in our program that will affect our program. So we're actually digging into those requirements tomorrow to see if there's any changes in that. But we don't have a set of actual instructional minutes that we have to meet. And so there can be more independent work involved in the program. And when you have asynchronous independent work, it may not have to be done, right now at 2:30, you have to be doing your math, and you can kind of create that for your family and how you think that will work. We will have probably a couple of times a week, teachers will ask in elementary for, a work sample of, certain things. Secondary, of course, they will have their assignment deadlines that they'd be used to for in-person. But instead of like every single day, it'll be more like, once or twice a week for that. How long will be anticipated for the school day for them to be online and their independent work? And so those are on the schedules that I shared last time and that I'll have printed. But if I'm remembering correctly, it varies by grade level. So each grade level is a little bit different. And so they will have 2 to 3 asynchronous times, which for TK through second grade, those synchronous times are 30 minutes. But we really are stressing with our staff that one thing I love about online is I really feel like as a teacher, that the teachers can really design something that meets the needs of their scholars. And so if they need to, do small groups for that 30 minutes, or if they feel like they have the flexibility to kind of adjust and meet the needs of what they see the scholars need, and as far as their understanding for different subjects and the units. And so, so there's a potential for 2 to 3 daily of those 30 minutes for TK through second. And then their asynchronous work progresses, in time. They'll have a reading amount of time that they're expected to read a certain amount every day. And then they'll have their asynchronous time, which varies, about, between 30 minutes and an hour between kindergarten and sixth, plus their reading, which is, is equivalent to about 10 minutes per grade level. So about 20 minutes for, up to second grade, and then, 30, 40, 50, 60 for that. And then secondary, for middle school, it's about 2 hours of asynchronous work daily. And for high school, it's about 3 to 4 hours of asynchronous work, along with their schedule. And their schedule is more set in middle school, like you saw, and high school.
Megan, sorry, if I could just add, for anybody who's unsure what synchronous versus asynchronous, it took me honestly a while. So synchronous work would be, are those Zoom times that teachers are on a live Zoom call with scholars, and that would be their screen time. Asynchronous would be ideally off screen. So we don't want scholars to be sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours. That's absolutely not our intent. So asynchronous would be more like, what can we do to get you off the screen? Like Megan said, reading, doing different activities without the computer.
Thank you, Carissa. Excellent. And then someone said they didn't hear the answer to the question about uniforms. We're just saying that for all in-person activities and gatherings, that uniforms are required, but they are not required for Friday because we'll be at the park and there'll be water. But that on the 5th, on August 5th, we do want them in uniform because they will be with their class and building that community and on campus. So on the 5th, yes, and then any other on-campus activities we have after that, yes, we would like them to wear the uniform. So she's asking about wait lists for 3rd grade and 6th in Lincoln and Roseville. In Roseville, it's hundreds, and in Lincoln, it's close to hundreds. I think if you wanted an exact amount, you'd have to call that campus or email admissions at johnadamsacademy.org, and they can give you the actual number. But yeah, most of the wait lists in Roseville are about between 150 and 250 per grade level. And Lincoln is a little bit less than that, but it kind of fluctuates more because they're newer for that. For blocked out time on the schedule, is that going to be for videos, Zooms, or independent for secondary? So in the morning time in the schedule, that'll be synchronous. So that'll be Zooms. Asynchronous would be videos and homework, independent work type for that. And so again, it's kind of up to the teacher. They have that flexibility. Again, if they feel like, oh, we're doing math class, I have all these things planned, everyone's, doing great. They may not be on for the entire, 90 minutes. It will just kind of depend on the comprehension of the scholars and how well that's going, or they might say, you three can go and you five stay back because I feel like you're still struggling, in this area, or things like that. Just so that you know. Someone was asking about the voucher for the uniform. So once your orientation is complete, they just started sending out vouchers numbers via email this week. And so you should receive a voucher number to get one free polo per scholar for that. But the rest of the uniform, and for secondary, you also get a voucher for one bottom because the bottoms have to be from Dennis uniform as well, but not TK through 6th. You can buy your own bottoms, shorts, skirts, and pants. But the rest of that, the rest of the uniform, you can purchase. I just put all mine in my shopping cart. Love Amazon. Are Zoom calls required? It is expected that scholars will attend the Zooms. That is where the instruction will happen. That's where they'll connect with their peers. It's where they get their question answered. So it is expected. As far as required, because this is an independent study program, it's not like you're going to get calls if they miss a Zoom and be like, oh, you're going to be reported to SARB if the guidelines are a little bit different. They are required to, with this new legislation that just came out this last week for independent study programs, those are changing. And so we'll communicate what those are. We haven't communicated anything yet just because we knew that this legislation was coming forward. And so we wanted to be able to dig into it to make sure that we're communicating the right information. It is required to have a synchronous session every day. And that's new, and that's for all independent study schools. So Visions and Horizons, all those schools that may have done no synchronous sessions are now all being required to do at least one daily. And are uniforms required for Zoom calls? Yes, the polo is required for Zoom because we can't see the rest. So what we can see, yes, we would like the uniform shirt on for all the Zoom calls, and then the standards for grooming, to be, with hair color, and all of those things to be maintained also for Zoom calls. Are in-person on-campus activities mandatory? No, they're not. They are completely optional. And is there a supply list? Great question. So the Academy will be providing the essential supplies. So the teachers have already have lists. You'll get them on Friday. We'll print them out so you can see what was being provided to your scholars. So you can talk with them and say, hey, this is what the Academy is providing. Is there anything you think you're going to need, or that we think you're going to need on top of that? Then, you could purchase those. And with the on the list, we also have teachers have recommended some things like a pencil sharpener or things like that. And so you'll get those lists on Fridays. I would look through them with your scholar. We have them by grade level. And then you can decide, like, do they want something else? Do they think something else would be helpful and outside of what's being provided? And then you could do that. And you should be, if they all get mailed in time, you should have all of your supplies on that pickup day as well. And if not, we'll just have another reason to get together and see each other and pick those things up quickly. So I'm just scanning to see if there were any more hands raised, which I don't see. If we're not going to the park on Friday, we'll get all that information. Well, Lynn, I'm so sorry we won't see you, but we know how busy summer can be. And so we are thinking about some of the things, yes. Some of the other things are a little bit harder to disseminate, like widely, like on a website or things like that, just for privacy and safety reasons. But yes, we have talked about that as a team of how, we can provide that. We'll definitely provide all those copies on the 5th too, if you're the person who likes to hang it on the fridge, what your scholar schedule may be. But we are talking about how to disseminate all the information. Supply list, yes, that's no problem. We can put that on there, but I'm thinking more of like the schedule by grade that's more detailed. We tend to keep things more general on the website because, you know, for safety reasons, it's out there for everyone. And so we'll think about how to kind of attach those in a way that's not cumbersome to everyone getting a mass email with all of them. So we're continuing to talk about yes, but yes, we don't want you to be in the dark for sure. And we'll miss seeing you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in August too. Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat, and I don't see any more hands raised. But I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And, you know, Caressa and I and Dr. Meeks, he wished he could be here, but he had a last minute scheduling conflict. But we've loved to get to know you on our orientation calls, and we're looking forward to a great year. I'm so impressed with what I'm seeing the developing team create, and with the teachers that are coming from other campuses at John Adams, or even the ones that we have hired. It's just a really great team, and it's really awesome to see it all come together. And we look forward to partnering with you this year and hearing your feedback. And you know, you're a pioneer right along with us, and so we want you know, you to be definitely involved in helping us make this program the best that it can be. Kim, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question? Oh, almost. Unmute one more. There you go.
Sorry, Megan. This is Scott. This is Kim's husband.
Oh, hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm new to Zoom. I use Teams all day.
I know. No worries.
Quick question. Do they have to use the Chromebooks, or can we use our own computers?
Good question. So we aren't purchasing Chromebooks. We're actually purchasing, we did a lot of research to find out what would be the best. And so we're actually going with a Microsoft Suite option. And so we are purchasing PCs for the scholars. And so yes, they can use their own device if they would like to. We're just going to have our tech person kind of say, you know, your device needs to be able to do X, Y, Z, right? So we can just make sure that all of the things are there, because we have the PCs, and you know, they have some features that we'll be able to use online and on Zoom. And so we would just say, you know, oh, you need to be able to write on our virtual whiteboard, and you need to be able to do, you know, X, Y, Z. So we'll send those out, and then you can decide if you want to use the device, or if you want to keep your own.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I also wanted to note as well, so there's more than just the PC that's going to be available for checkout for the lower grades. We are going to be having them, and I don't know up to what grade, Megan can clarify, but we will be doing dot cams to help with instruction as well. So I don't know, we'll have to, just wanted to make you aware, there's not just a PC that's going to be handed out.
And just so you know, with the dot cams, and I just learned this recently because we've been on information, so no worries, Cressa. We're going to order those a little bit later, and so they weren't part of this first initial batch. And so we got some devices that we wanted to try and see if we think it's feasible, at what age, and then we would move forward with the dot cams from there. So there'll probably be an additional, we'll assess with you too, parents, to get that feedback too. And someone asked if it's going to be a laptop. Yes, a laptop. Yeah, not some bulky desktop that you have to find space in your house for. Definitely not. So that is a good question, Sierra, about the internet safety guards. And I wish Jesse was on this call because he is the one who's been keeping track of all of the tech. And so we've talked a lot about that, and I know I just don't have the answers, I'm sorry, tonight about what exactly that will be. We will be communicating that to you, and it will be part of on the orientation day as well. And we're also going to be making some how-to tech videos that parents can have access to. Our wonderful Katie, who did this video that we watched for Canvas, will be doing some of those. And so Cressa, will you make note that we can make sure that she includes that in one of her videos, just to talk about what the safeguards are, how they work, you know, etc. But they will be accessing the internet. So yes, having your own safeguards at home would be always a good idea for sure. but we'll make sure that's included so you know exactly what that means. So you can kind of make that decision for yourself if you need to have something else. Yes, so on August 5th, we want parents and scholars to be there, and you'll pick up your tech. We'll make sure you're able to log on. No worries, Lynn. I can talk fast sometimes, and I know everyone is probably multitasking at this moment because it's dinner time and bedtime and all those things. But they'll get all of their things they need there. That's arrived, and then but they'll also have some time to be with their class and their teacher, and we'll do some fun community building type things to kind of kick off the year, and we'll do an address to parents as well for that, which will be exciting. It'll be fun to see everyone all in one place. Okay. Any other questions before we depart and go our separate ways this evening? I know I say this every meeting, but I know there's like that one person who's frantically trying to chat and like, no, don't go. I thought of one last question. Lynn, that is a great question. Thank you for asking that again. She was asking about payment, if there's anything you need to pay for the laptop or things like that. Only if you break it. If you break it, then yes, we ask you to help pay for, repairs or damages. And same with all the other textbooks or workbooks or things like that. If they get damaged or lost, if there's something that isn't a disposable, meaning that like it's just for your scholar to fill out, because we're not gonna, like so textbooks and things like that. Yes, but no, we're a tuition-free public charter school, so we really appreciate your $100 donation that we request, every year, but that's not a requirement. And so paying that $100 donation will definitely go to the cost for all of these things, but it is not required. You don't need to pay anything. I have no idea if there's insurance you can buy to cover the device of the academy. I have not been asked that question. Cressa, let's write that down for Katie and let's see if that's even an option, because that's interesting thing to look at. Okay, any other questions before I let you go? It's a pleasure. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I can't wait to see you all on Friday. For those of you who can't miss it, we'll miss you, but we're excited just to see people face to face. Caressa and Jesse and I see a lot of each other face to face, but everyone else is kind of, email and things like that. So we'll be excited to especially see the scholars, of course. Julie, did you have a question?
Yes, sorry. I sent it in the chat, but
oh, sorry.
When you guys were talking about when you guys were talking about immunizations for being on campus, are you just talking about like traditional DTaP, MMR, or are you talking about like the COVID vaccine?
No, the COVID vaccine has not been added by the state as a requirement for school entry.
Okay, sorry if I missed that earlier.
No.
I have 6 kids, and so
no worries.
My attention span is in and out of here.
I know. Never fear. I totally hear you. And no worries. Yep, that was a good question just to kind of end off of.
Okay.
Anyway.
And that's just talking about kids who are like students admitted into the program, not like younger kids who haven't met certain, right? Like if you're under 1, you haven't had an MMR, right? So
totally. Yes,
okay,
no, totally. It's like, you're school age, you're enrolled in the online program, you're coming, to this activity where you're going to be with your teacher, like that. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had that clear. So
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. You bet. Well, I hope you'll have a wonderful evening. We'll see you on Friday, and have a good night.